So welcome everyone to the September 27th, 2023 hybrid meeting for our regular board meeting for the Coast Mountain Board of Education School District. I'd like to begin the meeting by acknowledging the territory. And I would like to say and share a little bit about what the book that I just read in terms of, I would like to copy what Robert does in terms of quotes, and because we're all on a learning path. So we acknowledge with respect the lands on which we live, work, play, and learn as the traditional territories of the Gitxsan, Haisla, Nisga'a, and Tsimshian peoples. We are honored to work with their children and privileged to live on these lands. Today, we take some time to acknowledge the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, held September 30th, as the day that is for honoring resilience, dignity, and strength of survivors and intergenerational survivors. And we remember the children that never came home. It is a chance for us to engage and educate ourselves. In that means of educating, I'd like to share that I read over the summer quite a few books, because I like books, Nan Miet, and I would like to give two quotes that he has in his book. One is, reconciliation is a process of looking back to find a pathway forward towards our higher humanity, our highest selves, and an understanding that everybody matters. Reconciliation means something for all of us, and we're all on that journey, and your board with our strategic plan and our staff have had commitment to reconciliation and actions that are in the best interest of the children for whom we provide public education. And lastly, I would like to know the trustees, some of us were able to attend our day of reconciliation, where there was lots of learning, lots of opportunity to hear stories, some passions, some tears, as we're all on the path for reconciliation. And one of the messages there were many messages that I came home with, was when we're thinking about the work that we're doing as a school board, was that we are all family, and to use the word family to replace the word team, and may we all continue to learn together. So I welcome you to our first meeting of the school year for 2023-2024. And we're happy to share that Coast Mountain School District had a smooth but busy startup with staff and students returning to welcoming, safe, and inclusive schools. September is a month of getting to know each other, students, staff, parents, and guardians, in an effort to build meaningful relationships and establishing a sense of community within classrooms and schools. We heard on Friday a lot of presenters, and thank you, Robert and his team, for really overloading us with lots of information. But one of the other strong messages was about relationships, and that's what we're working hard to establish. We extend a warm welcome to everybody who has joined us, Terry and Jocelyn from the Union, and Troy Peters from DPAC. Thank you. And I don't know if anybody's online at all. Oh, Krista J from Hazelton is also online. So welcome to our first regular board meeting. This is also being live streamed through our YouTube channel. So I'll start by introducing myself. I'm Margaret Orcup, and I'm your board chairperson, and I'll go to my right first.
My name is Mike Maxim. I represent Thornhill.
Karen Yonkman, trustee from Kidmount.
Yeah, Eric Callahan, superintendent of schools.
Well, I was going to make you introduce yourself and your staff after. Yeah. Go ahead, Wayne.
Wayne Jones, representative from Stewart.
And online, Julia.
Good evening, Julia Sundell, Hazelton rep, currently living in Prince George.
And Sunny.
Sunny Duncan Green, trustee for Kitimat.
Great, thank you. And we have regrets from Ed Harrison not able to attend tonight with us. So further to that, I will ask Aaron to introduce himself and his staff.
Great, yeah, so Aaron Callahan, superintendent, and I'll start with at our table. Pass it over.
Ginger Fuller, secretary treasurer.
And Ginger, can you introduce our guest? I missed you, the important person today.
Today we're joined by Steve Heitzman. He is
with the firm that has audited our financial statements for 2022-23.
And I'm Rob Shipley, I'm the Director of Facility Services.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Julian Paz, Director of Instruction and Support. Hi, Geraldine Lawler, Director of Instruction, Graduation and Innovation.
William Blind Pilayu, Robert Clifton, Director of Helping and Healing Community Justification.
Good afternoon. Get her back track to a page now.
Thank you. Welcome all. So Coast Mountain School District, in Coast Mountain School District, our flags will be flown at half-mast for schools, participation in Orange Shirt Day events on Friday, September 29th, and in observation of the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation on Saturday, September 30th. Schools and work sites will be closed on Monday, October 2nd in observance of National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. As you know, Saturday is our Orange Shirt Day, and we're going to show now a short video, right? Still going to work, okay? From Phyllis Webstad, a residential school survivor, sharing her story of her orange shirt that inspired Orange Shirt Day, which is now, by the way, in its 10th year, and is now a national movement to remember and honor First Nations, Métis, and Inuit children who attended Canadians' residential schools, including the thousands who never returned home. So if we could honor ourselves and everything and watch the video.
Wade Wahwadip, Phyllis Webstad, Rensquest, Stracham Chatstam Stragwin. I'm speaking to you today from Shawetmach Ulach, the land of the Shuswap people in Williams Lake, BC. I'm third generation Indian residential school survivor. My grandmother attended for 10 years from 1925 to 1935. All of Granny's 10 children, including my mother, attended for 10 years from 1954 to 1964. I attended residential school in 1973-74. We all attended the St. Joseph Mission Indian Residential School, simply called the Mission, located just minutes from Williams Lake. My son also attended the last operating residential school in Canada when it closed in Saskatchewan in 1996. To tell my story, I was living with my granny as a child, and when I turned 6 in July of 1973, Granny took me to town to buy me something new to wear for my first day of residential school. I chose a shiny new shirt. It was bright and exciting, just how I felt to be going to school for the first time. When I arrived at the Mission, my shiny new shirt was taken away. No matter how much I cried and wanted it back, no one would listen. I never wore my shirt again. Thoughts of home and Granny's garden, fishing for salmon on the Fraser River, are all memories that helped me through that year at residential school. Although the Mission remained open until 1981, I never returned. I was able to attend a one-room schoolhouse just minutes from Granny's house in Dog Creek. The memories of that orange shirt being taken away and the lack of caring by those who controlled us kept me from wearing orange for a long time in my life, as the sight of orange would trigger memories of my experiences and the effects of my life from attendance at that school. I told my orange shirt story for the first time in April 2013, when preparation for when the Truth and Reconciliation Commission came to Williams Lake. Those involved with the event decided to honor the orange shirt as a symbol of the effects of residential schools and the need for every child matters. Originally, Orange Shirt Day was focused on the Cariboo-Chilcotin region, but thanks to social media, it continues to grow and have a life of its own, and has grown into what it is today. My orange shirt story is not unique. There were 150,000 children that attended the residential schools across Canada, and they, or their families, all have a story to tell of that experience. And now, with the recent news of the confirmation of the 215 children announced at the Kamloops de Shawetmach on May 27, 2021, another experience from those schools is brought forward. I, like many Canadians, have felt the emotional impact of those findings. But for the survivors, we have always known about the children who died in those schools. This is why I say confirmation instead of discovery. Even so, when I first heard, I felt like I had lost a family member, and that's how much grief I felt. There are many more residential school sites to be searched, and the number of missing children and unmarked burials will continue to rise. I'm still grappling for a way to make sense of it all and wondering how we are going to get through this. My thoughts and prayers go out to the families, to everyone across Canada experiencing this unimaginable emotional pain. The missing children have awakened all of us to the reality of the history of this country. This year marks the first year of a National Day for Truth and Reconciliation and National Federal Statutory Holiday on September 30th. A day for thoughts and discussions on remembering, recovering, and reconciling. Orange Shirt Day is a day to have conversation about all aspects of residential school. It is a day to honor residential school survivors and their families, and to remember those that didn't make it. And a day to highlight progress in the reconciliation of Indigenous people and Canadian society. These actions are necessary to bring about healing for the future relationship in Canada. We chose September 30th because September is the time of year the children were taken away from their homes and their families. We chose the 30th because we wanted teachers and students time to settle in, time for teachers to teach students about the history, and time for us to plan an event. When I heard an elder say that September was Crying Month, I knew that we had selected the right date. The Orange Shirt Society has produced a number of videos available on our website for the purpose of teaching the past history and bringing understanding of the Canadian residential school system and its effects on Indigenous peoples. We encourage all to learn more of this subject. In closing, I want to thank everyone for participating in Orange Shirt Day and wearing an orange shirt. When you wear an orange shirt, it's like a little bit of justice for us survivors in our lifetime, and recognition of a system we can never allow again. I want to end with a prayer I wrote in my Secwepemc language. Kia es chbea, de geld gukbi, gukstach guk pin de seat, gukstach guk de jochinuch, gukstach guk de steitlen, el de saulqua, el de soup, el de goselgsten, gukstach guk chochwede, jucheminta re chochwede de galmuch de choset. Gukstjam, thank you for caring about what happened to us, and thank you for participating in Orange Shirt Day, the first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation in Canada. Gukstjam.
Thank you. So we have a quorum, and so the first item of business on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Would someone like to so move? Mike, thank you.
Yes,
Second.
I'd like to speak to the agenda.
Okay, go ahead.
Superintendent Callahan, I think 22 minutes ago, the agenda package for this meeting has not been made public to the, on our website. And I noticed for the June public meeting, that agenda package was several days before it went up on the public access website. I'm wondering if in the future we'll see the same delay in the agenda package being made to the public.
Thanks, Trustee Maxim. We do our very best to get the package up on our website as soon as it's possible to put together. I'd like to take a moment and thank Carol Gagnon. We missed Carol introducing her this evening as well. This week's package actually is about 200 pages long, so you can imagine the time that goes into that. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. We'll do our very best to get it up in a prompt and efficient manner for everyone to have a close look at in advance of our board meetings.
Thank you, sir.
Superintendent Callahan, I just wanted to refresh your memory about the distribution, our email distribution that goes to the entire district. It goes to all of the CMTF, the CMA, the QP. It goes to DPAC. It goes to all our First Nations counselors, coordinators, and administrators. Our new website just went up online in June. We were working through the diagnostics of getting it online. And the package today was too big, and so they're making room for it to go up when we put it out yesterday. So thank you, I'm sure it's probably put on in the future, but I just thought I'd share that with you.
Thank you for all your hard work.
You're very welcome.
Okay, all in favor of the agenda? Okay, different ways. Yep, pass. We next are 4.1, approval of the minutes of the prior meeting, which was June 14th, 2023. I have a mover for the minutes. Karen, seconder.
Second.
Thanks, William. Any questions? All in favor of accepting approval of the minutes of the prior meeting, June 14th? I see Julia, I see Sunny, I see everybody here. The minutes are approved. Business arising from the minutes. We have a tabled item, page 13 to 16. Oh, sorry, can I have a motion for the receipt of the in-camera meeting minutes? Wait. Seconder for receipt of the minutes. Karen? All in favor of receiving the minutes? Sorry. My new glasses on and I missed it anyways. Okay, now we're on 6.1, which is the tabled agenda items, a notice of motion to amend the trustee school liaison rationale, purpose, and parameters agreement. And the recommended action is that the board approve the amended trustee school liaison rationale, purpose, and parameters agreement as presented. This was moved and seconded last meeting, but we decided to stall it till now so that trustees had more time to read the amendment and decide how they wish to vote on this. So if I could have another mover so that the board approve the amended trustee school liaison agreement. Karen, seconder. Wayne. Any further comment or discussion before I call the vote? All in favor of the amended trustee agreement? Oh, sorry, Julia. Sorry, I can't see too. Julia has a comment first, Sunny, and then I'll look for your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm still opposed to it. I think it's restrictive and is a barrier to building relationships. So I'm going to not sign it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll speak as well.
Okay.
I sought outside advice on this issue, and my lawyer has suggested to me that this agreement may not be compliant with the School Act.
Okay, we'll record those thoughts. Any other comment?
I can comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I respect what you're saying, Julia. I understand what you're saying. I see this more as in respect to the teachers, the students, just so they know you're coming. That's all.
Any further comments? I will now call for the vote. All in favor? Okay, and I see Sunny. All against? Any against? And do you want your vote recorded?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So count for me.
Yes.
Yeah,
3-2.
3-2. So the motion has passed. Actually, the board chair gets to vote too. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4-2. Okay, we can move on to the correspondence, the board's response to the Skeena Valley Senior Society June 2023 presentation. A motion to, let's get to the page number 17. To receive for information the letter issued by myself on September 25th, 2023 on behalf of the board to the Skeena Valley Senior Society in response to their interest in the former Kitikishan School as a possible building for seniors housing. Could I have a motion to receive this letter, please? Karen? Sunny? You'll take a second? I can't see several places. Yeah. All in favor of receiving the report? Thank you. Passed. Superintendent's report.
Okay, great.
To you yet.
Superintendent's report is presented on pages 20 to 23 in this package that was widely available to partners. On page 20, just acknowledging that this week, September 25th to 29th, is the National Week for Truth and Reconciliation. So just in a follow-up to Board Chair's introduction and our video, there are lots of important things happening in schools with dialogue around the residential school system in Canada and honoring children who have not returned from residential schools. Also want to acknowledge on that first page, on page 20, the Indigenous Education Department that was largely responsible for the day of system-wide professional learning on Friday, September 22nd. At the time of this superintendent's report submission, we were still in the planning processes for that day, but that day has since come, and it was a wonderful day of learning that took place here in a conference style for all employees at both Caledonia Secondary School and the REM Lee Theatre. So Tayaksit Newsom to Robert and Lindsay, especially for their superhuman efforts. Robert, I'm using the word superhuman because that was a word that was raised recently, and I think that was really fitting for the work that went into that day. On page 21, I would like to point out that, and it will come up for a little bit of discussion later on in the agenda as well. Strategic plan is something that guides the work of our entire system. So despite the odd distraction on a day-to-day basis, things that distract us sometimes from important work in the service of our learners and their families, the action plan commitments for 2023-24 school year identified on page 21. And there you'll see that there are 11 targeted actions and commitments that speak to the 3 goal areas that are identified by the board's strategic plan, and really looking forward to getting into that work this year. Page 22, highlighting a couple of things on page 22. At the top of the page is a remarkable announcement of a sponsorship with a local partner in LNG Canada. So recently, last week, we announced news of this sponsorship with LNG to the value of $250,000. That is helped to establish a school district fund that is called the Northwest Community Student Support Fund. And it is a fund that will, is by its very nature, is meant to support the families in Coast Mountain School District with school-related expenses for their children. And so some examples could be school-based extracurricular costs or cultural activities, school supplies, winter clothing, footwear, and so on. So a huge thank you going out to our local partner who is investing in the families in our district. 2 more items, again on page 22, Coast Mountain School District is really this year expanding the work within our international student program. And so it is a chance to go on the record tonight and say we are looking for host families for January 2024, when we are expecting a first batch of international learners from Germany and Brazil at the secondary level. And certainly it's great opportunities for our school system, but as well as for those students to come to Coast Mountain School District and experience life here in the Northwest British Columbia. More information is on page 22 about how you can become a host family. And last but not least, on page 23 is just, it has been a way last year that we've just drawn attention to some things that we like to share about on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and I don't know if it's Twitter or if it's X, or I'm not really sure what it's called these days, but really like last year, trying to promote partners and families alike to be following us as a school district on any of those platforms. And so it's a chance on page 23 to highlight a few of the stories that we shared in the last couple of weeks. One is, front and foremost, was No Space for Hate posting that went out last week in support of members of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community throughout Coast Mountain School District and beyond.
And that's your report. Can I have a motion that the superintendent of schools monthly report to our regular meeting of September 27th, 2023 be received as presented? Please. Second. Karen? Any questions for our superintendent from the report? All in favor of receiving the report? Passed. And then we can move to the Indigenous Education Report. Have you had time to breathe since Friday?
My heart is filled, and thank you for acknowledging the work that it took, the logistics, and I, really do appreciate Carol, all the organization that we do behind the scenes. I cannot appreciate for, was made very aware of all the challenges that come with running an event like that, but also acknowledge that, it wasn't just the Indigenous Education Department, but everybody pitching in last minute to resolve any issues, from technology to furniture to everybody was willing to lend a hand. So it was definitely a family effort. So I raise my hands to our family of Coast Mountain staff who come to work alongside and to help. I also acknowledge and want to say that I am wearing my shirt to represent the resilience, the recovery, the resurgence of Indigenous families, intergenerational survivors, those we have lost as well. My father, it wasn't revealed to me that he was a survivor, and many of my relatives actually who went still have yet to tell their stories. And so it's wonderful that we have this day as a placeholder, and it's a reminder to awaken us to the call to action. But this is the work that comes daily in repairing and healing our relationships with each other, especially as guests on unceded and traditional and stolen territories. It is our work to do, to learn together and to do better and set an example for our next generations that we can be better neighbors and we can be better humans. So I sort of reflect on the disconnect that I had with my father, and am still continuing to reach out and participate in this hopeful transformation that he is also becoming a better human. Through my grandmother, who's still alive, who inspires me to work every day. So as you can read here, that as typical, the department is transforming. There's a lot going on. I want to acknowledge that the onboarding of these wonderful new gifts, you can see their titles here and their names mentioned below, are going to contribute to this very targeted and focused approach that is creating a circle of care for Indigenous learners, to ensure that we are having a robust approach to transforming the story of success in this district. And part of that work is that we are doing this work together. So I also acknowledge that, you know, as our senior management team and our partners in teachers, our partners in support staff, our partners actually in centering Indigenous learners and all learners and listening to them, that we continue to hold space for wonderful things and wonderful conversations to be had. And these conversations are not meant to provoke, but to awaken people that they have something to learn. And that is done with humility. And humility that you actually are able to be unsettled and willing to unlearn. And that the way that you see and sense things are not the way that it really is, that everybody holds the truth. And part of Truth and Reconciliation is about those diverse and multiple stories that we need to sit and honor. And coming with that are also protocols. So it's this year that we're going to be doing work with the All Our Relations Working Group. And that is to both honor our rights holders through the lands-based lens, but that through Section 35, the Constitution Act, means that rights are not distinguished no matter where you live, and that actually rights holders include all Indigenous peoples, Métis, First Nations, and Inuit peoples. And it's not lost on me that because of residential school, the 60s school, and other reasons, that people have been displaced and disconnected from their lands, from their communities. And we still have to honor that those families and communities and those children that we are in service to deserve a voice at the table. So we're really looking forward to All Our Relations Working Group, and that will begin its year-long journey in October. Along with Shared Learning Circle series, which we will be holding space, and that's mentioned on the last page. The dates have changed. It's now launching on October 26th, because I was very ambitious, thinking that I would have enough energy to organize and get everything in place for that. We are delaying it, so the dates now are October 26th, November 2nd, and November 9th. There will be a link for registration for up to 100 people to join our virtual circle for the ongoing learning that we're doing in that space. And the last thing I will say is that you know, in this work to transform our approaches to showing up to ensure that every Indigenous learner is not just feeling seen, heard, and valued, but the approach to prioritizing our previously underserved children that are now prioritized comes with an onboarding and ongoing learning that our front of the line our Indigenous support workers are doing. And so now they are equipped with iPads and a data system that will allow us to track supports to students. At the same time, it can be used as a tool for them to receive information so they can see who they've seen, who may have been missed this week, and do a sort according to an RTI model, response to intervention model. So we look forward to sharing with you the impact of these approaches. And thank you for listening.
I have a motion to receive for information the Indigenous Education Report for September 2023. Mike and Karen. Any questions or Robert? Go ahead, Mike.
I'd like to congratulate you on a very interesting and worthwhile event. I'd like to point out that you deserve a lot of credit for your efforts to make sure that the voices of all the presenters were heard. And I hope that someday we can take a lesson from you and get voice amplification for our own meetings.
I don't take credit for the work of my brothers and sisters. We walk together. I think it's, you know, it's part of our protocol, and coming to visit this territory, their coming here came with a sense of curiosity of learning of how to show up and how they can actually do the work. And in our protocol, if we are coming to another's village, we ask to come ashore and we talk about what our business is. We reveal what our business is. And part of the work as being a visitor is to recognize that there are protocols and structures in place. And so one of those protocols in place was not for me to actually take the light and to shine the light on multiple voices that contribute to the learning. I will have my time. And I just have to be, patient enough to realize when I can use my story to actually have people lean in with curiosity. And so, thank you for your comment. And, yeah.
I feel like I learned several values of things that day.
Great, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Julia, did you have your hand up?
No,
Okay.
but I would like to make a comment. I can hardly hear Robert, so perhaps everyone could get a little bit closer. I was just going to type that into the chat. Thank you, Margaret.
That's rare, Julia, that people can't hear me.
I know, Robert.
Noted. I should be using my big house voice.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you. So we've had a motion to receive this report for information. All in favor? Pass. That way. I now move to number 10, the standing committee reports, and we'll be looking at Sunny to lead us through a number of items, including our auditor sharing the audited report. Sunny, all yours.
So you're gonna have to be my eyes in the boardroom there because the camera's constantly moving, so you can count for me there. All right, so first order is business committee meeting minutes of September 20th, 2023.
Sunny,
I'll
so
put a motion for that. Yeah, go ahead.
Karen, you okay? Yep. Okay, any question on the minutes? Mike?
Sunny, could you remind me, you have some professional accomplishments that I'm sure you're quite proud of, and it slips my mind.
I'm not sure that's relevant to ask now. He's the chair of our business committee meeting last week. I don't think we asked that question. Any other questions or comments? All in favor of accepting the minutes? Pass. Thank you. Go ahead with the 2022-2023 draft audited financial statements. Sunny, do you want me to pass this to Ginger and our accountant?
Yes, please.
Okay, all yours, Ginger.
Sorry. So I'll just give the background discussion pursuant to sections 156 accounting practices and 157 financial statements of the School Act and the Ministerial Order 033-09. Boards of Education must submit financial statements in the form required by the Minister of Education and Child Care on or before September 30th of each fiscal year. The draft 2022-23 audited financial statements and accompanying notes version 4505-3759-1777 are attached for reference. Notation: upon approval of the financial statements by the board, the independent auditors report, pages 2 to 4, will be provided for inclusion in the audited financial statements to the Ministry of Education and Child Care. The 2022-23 appointed auditor, Steve Keitzman of
Vahora LLP.
Chartered Professional Accountants, will present a verbal report of the financial statements and accompanying notes to the board at the September 27th, 2023 board meeting. The business committee has reviewed the draft 22-23 audited financial statements and notes at its September 20th, 2023 meeting and forwards to the board with a recommendation for approval. And I will let you speak to them.
Thank you, Ginger. So I work for a company called Bahora LLP. We used to be Carlisle Shepherd and Company, which you might be familiar with. We merged with another local Northwestern firm on January 1st, 2023 to get bigger, better, and stronger. We audit several school districts in the Northwest. And I typically start this presentation by explaining, what it is we as auditors do. First of all, we are completely independent of the school district. We come in, we do an audit in two parts. The first part is reviewing the controls around the major cycles within financial cycles within the school district. The largest being, of course, payroll. Typically 80 to 85% of the operating expenses of a school district are payroll. The purchasing procedures we look at too are major capital projects being properly tendered, and is there value for money being obtained. During our review, we found no issues of concern whatsoever around the controls. We also look at things like the minutes of the trustees to ensure that the directions of the trustees are in fact being implemented, those with a financial implication. Second part of our audit is we audit the numbers in the financial statements, and school districts their financial statements are quite different to municipalities, First Nations, etc., in that you have three funds. You have a operating fund, special purpose fund, and a capital fund. If you go through the financial statements, all of the schedules with the number 2, your operating fund, 3 are your special funds, and 4 are your capital funds. The majority of the revenue for the school district comes from one of two sources. First of all, the Ministry of Education have changed their name now recently, and funding that's received through local education. The school district also rents a number of buildings and has other grant funding. We go through the numbers here that Ginger prepares the financial statements, and I'd like to take this opportunity to just thank Ginger and the team for all of their assistance in helping us with this audit. School District 82 is very, very fortunate to have a stable finance team who've been around for a long, long time with experience, and I hope the trustees take heart in that fact. So at the end of the day, we look at the numbers and we are required to express an opinion as to whether or not we believe that the financial statements are materially correct. Materially correct doesn't mean perfect. The only, there's issues like a surplus on a benefits program that arguably should be included in the school district surplus and isn't. But we have obtained sufficient audit evidence to be in a position to be able to express an unqualified opinion on the accuracy and completeness of the financial statements that have been presented to you. What an unqualified opinion means is opinion without any qualification. It's the highest degree of assurance that we as independent auditors can express. Now, I don't know if you want to go into any details on the numbers. Yeah, the school district is in a really good, healthy financial position. Obviously, a lot of changes in the last year, new union agreements that were negotiated, lots of capital projects that keep Mr. Shibley and his team very, very busy. But suffice to say, yes, the school district is in a good financial position, and I'll just take a quick. I'll tell you why I can say that unreservedly. Is if you go to page 34, 35 of your package. The school district has an accumulated surplus at the end of the fiscal year of $5.6 million. Now, calling it a surplus is somewhat misleading because if you turn to page number 54, that $5.6 million surplus is made up of a $4.6 million investment in the capital fund. I mentioned that you have the three funds, the operating fund, the special purpose fund, and the capital fund. So that money has effectively already been spent on capital assets. So at the end of the fiscal year, the operating surplus of the school district is a little under $1 million, which might sound like a lot, but School District 82 is the biggest school district in the Northwest, and I might suggest that having that sort of buffer after you take out the committed funds that have already been rolled over into the new year to be spent, like the Aboriginal education surpluses. It isn't a lot, but the one change from a financial statements perspective that kept Ginger, I'm sure she spent a lot of work in it this year, is an ARO adjustment. So what the accounting standards require is that future costs associated with decommissioning buildings that might have things like asbestos in it, liability should be set up for those. So that was something new in 2023, and yeah, I think those are the key points on the financial statements. They are quite complex. They are prepared using a template that the ministry provides that dovetails in really nicely with your annual budgets and your amended annual budgets. Yeah, does anybody have any questions on the financial statements?
I just have a comment in that I would like to thank Ginger and her team for walking us through these several times at the business committee meeting and also as individual trustees. But I welcome anybody to ask questions of our accountant. I appreciate the explanations you gave. Any questions?
I'd
Mike?
just to say congratulations, Ginger, on receiving that glowing endorsement.
Thank you.
I'd just like to thank my staff, including HR and payroll, and of course, Rob and his staff. None of this work is done solely or even any type of marginal just by me. It's all done. A big portion is done by the ladies downstairs and the ladies in payroll, and I couldn't get any of this work done without them. And I have had to do this work in the past in different organizations alone, so I know what that looks like, and I am very grateful to my team. And Steve, thank you.
More than welcome. We love doing the work.
Sunny, are you comfortable doing the motion from the business committee?
Yes, hold on 1 second here.
Page 31, Sunny, if you're looking there for it.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I put a motion forward, the board to approve the 2022-2023 audited financial statements notes versions 4505-3759-1777 as presented.
A seconder for the motion? Karen? All in favor? We'll get it in by the end of September. Everybody's passed. Thank you. You're now on to the 10.13, Sunny.
Thanks again, Steve.
Yes. And Robert, I'd like to thank you too, because I see the Indigenous education component coming through in my own kids' curriculum. So thank you very much for that. It's very important.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
10.13, Sunny, all yours.
Yes, we have 2022-2023 Aboriginal Education Fund to carry forward. The board to approve $415,680 surplus and Indigenous targeted funds for the 2023-2024 school year. I'd like to
You
pass
so
over to
moved.
Ginger. Oh,
Ginger?
sorry.
Pardon me?
We passed it to you.
Oh, do you want me to read it? The background and discussions? Yes, okay.
Yeah.
As outlined in the attached draft letter addressed to the Minister of Education and Childcare, the school district is requesting approval to carry forward a surplus of $415,680 in targeted Indigenous education funds to the 2023-2024 fiscal year. Pursuant to section 106.42 of the School Act, the board is required to formally request approval for the Coast Mountains Board of Education to underspend this targeted Indigenous education allocation for the 22-23 school year. If the request for carry forward is approved, the unspent 22-23 surplus of $415,680 will be brought forward and added to the 2023-2024 targeted Indigenous education allocation and will be reflected in the 2023-2024 amended annual budget. The business committee reviewed this request at the September 20th, 2023 meeting and forwards to the board with recommendation for approval. Would you like to do the motion, Sunny?
Yeah, so if the board approves a carry forward of $415,680 surplus in Indigenous education targeted funds to the 2023-2024 fiscal year.
Seconder, Karen? Any further questions?
Can I make a comment?
Yes, Ginger would like to comment.
I would like to make a comment that in the past year, although we do have a carry forward, we have seen a lot more activity and action within our schools regarding our Indigenous education funding. And it is beneficial to read the letter that is going to Minister Singh, because it outlines how we propose to use this funding in the future, in the coming year. And I would like to make a prediction for the 23-24 school year that we will not see a carry forward in funding. And that's all I have.
Any further comment before I call the vote? All in favor? Oh, wait, sorry, Julia.
So I'm just going to ask a question for clarity. For the last 2 years that I've known we've had a surplus, when I read the letter to the Minister of Education and Childcare, I'm wondering if the dates are correct. The carry forward as of June 30th, 2023 is $415,000 and 680, but it reflects a larger expenditure. And I'm just wondering, is there a plan for the funding? Because we do keep putting forward a surplus. Are we expecting one for next year as well?
No, that's what I had just kind of spoke about. In the 21-22 school year, we had a large carryover. In that school year, we actually didn't have anyone in the directorship position for Indigenous education. And so a lot of the initiatives that we would hope to have had running there was no one to conduct that work. We were on a hunt for a replacement for a number of months. So when Mr. Clifton came into the role this year, he came into the role having that surplus. So when you look at it, Mr. Clifton was able to spend last year's allotment plus a little bit more. So he has reduced the actual carryover from the previous year. And so with the activities within the school district and within our schools, I don't anticipate that we would have a carry forward as of June 30th, 2024, with the number of activities and professional development and training and work with students. So I'm actually very excited that we can get to a place where hopefully we don't have to write this letter again.
Perfect. Thank you for the explanation, Ginger, and sorry for my poorly worded question.
No, it's fine. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor of the motion? Are you voting, Mike, or
And I abstain.
abstain? Okay, it's passed. All right, Sunny, you're next.
All right, next
10
agenda
point-
item. Yes. 10.1.4, 2022-2023 draft year financial statement discussion and analysis report. Attached, you'll find the 2022-2023 draft school year financial statement discussion and analysis report for Coast Mountain School District 82. This document provides a discussion and analysis of the financial performance of School District 82 for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023. The financial statement represents the consolidation of 3 separate funds: operating, special purpose, and capital. This report is a summary of the School District 82's financial activities based on your currently known facts, decisions, and conditions. The result of the current year are discussed in comparison with the prior year and budget. This report should be read in conjunction with the 2022-2023 audited financial statements. The Business Committee reviewed this report at its September 20th, 2023 meeting and forwards to the board for information.
You so move that the board receive the 2022-2023 school year financial statement, discussion, and analysis report for Coast Mountains School District 82 as presented.
Yes.
Yep. Second, Julia, thank you. Any questions, comments, I would like to really thank Ginger for writing this report. It really gives lots of clarity to reading financial statements and is very helpful for me. Other trustees, anything? All in favor of receiving? Thank you. Pass. 10.15, Sunny.
Okay, so revised policy 5010, trustee code of ethics, first reading. The Ministry of Education and Childcare and the BC School Trustee Association, in partnership with the Sector Advisory Committee, has co-developed voluntarily provincial criteria for school trustees' code of conduct. As referenced in the attached letter and supporting guidelines, criteria from the MOECC Minister Singh, the intent of this project is to provide trustees with clarity on their roles and responsibilities respecting conduct. Codes of conduct can assist boards to focus on their core responsibilities to deliver educational programs and to support safe and inclusive schools and workplace. The Ministry and the BCSTA are requesting the board to submit their revised codes of conduct by April 30th, 2024. The attached completely revised policy 5010, trustee code of ethics, is presented to the board with a recommendation for the first reading by the Policy Review and Development Committee and Business Committee as reviewed at their respective meetings held on September 12th and 20th of 2023. Recommendation
Sunny,
that the revised
prior to the motion, oh, sorry, I'm interrupting because I didn't read my paper right. Prior to the motion, our superintendent would also like to present on this.
I'll support you a little bit on this one, Sunny. So just to speak to the policy itself, pages 86 through 93 of the package. And so as a member of the policy committee, it's a great pleasure to bring such an important document to this table this evening. And just to highlight a couple of things on page 86. I think everyone agrees trustees must demonstrate the highest standards of conduct, act honestly, ethically, and with the best interests of the district in mind at all times. The trustee code of ethics represents the commitment of the board to meet this obligation. And it's designed to provide trustees with principles and standards for the expected behavior in their role. So just to highlight a couple of things, pages 87 and 88 speak to the 15 statements or commitments that really address the highest standards of behavior expected for all trustees as trustees in Coast Mountains School District. They are in line with provincial ministerial standards that have come forward from both the BCSTA and the ministry. And the second half of this document on pages 88 through 93 speak to the occasions where a trustee, the behavior of a trustee is called into question. And the board, this document will allow the board to have established procedures to receive information, investigate any allegations, and respond accordingly to the findings. So where a breach of the code of ethics is identified, the board will apply sanctions that align with the severity of the violation. So those are the parts of the policy that are shared. And just as a follow-up to the policy itself, I'm just going to point everyone to pages 94 and 95 of the package. Is the letter that our board chairperson has received from the minister. And on page 95 is the request of Coast Mountain School District to do some work on their existing code of ethics document and to ensure that they include a section that speaks to breaches and sanctions of the code of ethics in our district. So it was really important for the work to take part over the summer on this particular document. And for final reference, pages 96 through 109 is the actual document from the ministry and from the British Columbia School Trustees Association to help support the development of the draft policy. Thank you to the policy committee members for their work on the document.
And you were going to share what a first reading means and how we're going to put it out.
Yeah, so, and this is again, in my early days as superintendent, so forgive my lack of experience in this chair doing this work. But really important part of the process is getting feedback from our educational partners around any of the policies, and we do have a couple more to come. So there is I know there's been past practice around how that feedback is received from all partner groups. This year, we've also talked about the real possibility of expanding the feedback to include community and members of the public. And so what will happen in the next couple of days as time permits is this will be all online for access. There'll be a communication that gets shared with all of our educational partners and gets posted to our website for everyone to access in as timely a manner as we are able to. And there will be an online form for any partner to submit their input towards this policy or the subsequent policies that we look at this evening in tonight's meeting.
Okay, Ginger wanted to share.
I would just like to share that with the package, there is the policy 5020 on policy development. And if you go to page 5 of 5 on that document, it gives a flow chart on how policy development and revisions are processed. So where there's places to provide feedback as a community, as a partner group, as a rights holder, as a trustee, as an employee. After this first reading, there is space for all of those groups to provide feedback on this document, and then that will come back for review. So it's just a nice, easy flow chart to understand the processes.
So I'm just going to follow up and say the document Ginger's referencing this evening is on the website in the policy section under the Board of Education, if it's not in part of your package. That's in the governance section of the policies, and it is online.
Okay, so Sunny, are you willing to do the motion that the revised policy be presented for first reading?
Are we gonna have, do we get to have discussion on this?
If it's relevant to the motion, yes. So if we so move in second, then I'll let you have a comment. Go ahead, Sunny.
All right, recommended action that the revised policy 5010 trustee code of ethics be presented for first reading at the September 27th, 2023 regular board meeting.
Seconder. Karen? All right. Any questions or comments? Mike?
Yeah, I'd like to say there's a lot of things in here that I really approve of. However,
if you're looking at doing a criticism of what's been written, you have the opportunity after the first reading to do it in writing to the committee.
in writing to the
Yeah.
committee.
And that's why we went through the outline of how we do it.
The flow chart shows how the committee.
Yeah,
reviews
I didn't find the flow chart. To me,
I put it on there.
that's
So-
the policy.
It's on the back of at the last page of the policy. There's a flow chart on how policy is developed.
So with first reading, this is to get it out there for input. It's not the time for the discussion on the policy. Okay, all in favor? Passed. Mike, what are you doing? Did you vote for first reading to be approved?
I vote.
You're opposing? Do you wish it recorded?
I'm sorry.
Do you wish that recorded?
Yes, please.
Okay, Sunny, next.
Okay, item 10.1.6, revised policy 5015, communication and consultation with the public, first reading. The attached policy 5015, communication and consultation with the public, is forwarded by the Policy Review and Development Committee and Business Committee for the board's review and consideration. The revision to the policy reflects the board's position to report and support a program of communication between the school district and the inclusion of all partners and rights holders. The revised policy is presented to the board with recommendation for first reading by the Policy Review and Development Committee and Business Committee as reviewed at their respective meetings held on September 12th and 20th, 2023.
And prior to the motion, Superintendent Callahan has some comments.
Yeah, so just on behalf of the policy committee, so this is policy 5015, and there are just a couple of minor changes. So it was called the communication with the public policy, and now it's communication and consultation with the public. So there is a name change, and primarily on page 112, the addition is procedure 1, which is the responsibility for the development and the implementation of the school district engagement with the public lies with the superintendent of schools. And it also spells out that trustees are responsible for the oversight of this engagement, for the district's engagement. And trustees, their participation is determined in consultation with administration. So that's the primary addition to that policy.
So Sunny, do you so move the recommended action?
Yes, that the revised policy 5015, communication and consultation with the public, be presented for first reading at September 27th, 2023, regular board meeting.
A seconder for the motion. Wayne, thank you. Oh, Julia, Wayne got me fast first. Sorry. Any comment? All in favor? Mike, what are you voting?
Opposed.
Opposed? Okay. Passed. Okay, one more for you there, Sunny.
Okay, item 10.1.7, new policy 5035, trustee conflict of interest, first reading. The attached new policy 5035, trustee conflict of interest, is presented by the Policy Review and Development Committee and Business Committee for the board's review and consideration. The new policy was developed in light of the recently co-developed voluntarily provincial criteria for school trustee codes of conduct, detailed by the Ministry of Education and Childcare and the BC School Trustee Association, and is designed for clarity as it relates to revised policy 5010, trustee code of ethics. The new policy 5035, trustee conflict of interest, is presented to the board with a recommendation for first reading by Policy Review and Development Committee and Business Committee as reviewed at their respective meetings held on September 12th and 20th, 2023.
And Ginger, you have any further comment?
No, this is an entirely new policy. There was a lot of research done to draft this policy, and I am looking forward to feedback on it. So we can move forward with it.
Sunny, you willing to do the motion?
Recommended action that the new policy 5035, trustee conflict of interest, be presented for first reading at the September 27th, 2023 regular board meeting.
Seconder. Karen, thank you. Any question or comment on the motion? All in favor?
Opposed.
Opposed? Okay, and you want it recorded, Mike?
Yes, please.
It's passed. Sunny, thank you. You had a big job to do. You stepped in to chair the business committee with Ed being off, and we appreciate your participation. It's great. We now move to Karen for the Education Committee.
I lost myself here. Okay, 10.2.1 is the Education Committee meeting minutes for the meeting that was held September 20th, 2023. I'd like to submit these for information.
Seconder. Wayne, all in favor of receipt? Passed. Thank you.
I'm opposed.
Oh, you're opposed?
Discussion.
You're, okay, go ahead.
This thing is illegible. Can't read it. Printing is too small.
Okay, so if you need to have accommodations,
This needs to,
if you need accommodations, can you speak with the superintendent after the meeting? I don't, it's not relevant to the motion.
I need to see the data.
You're looking at the wrong report, I believe.
Oh, are we looking at, this one here with
We're
all
looking
our
at the
pictures?
minutes of the education. Yeah, you're looking at the meeting handout.
Okay. Oh. This is what we're doing right now, is just this one?
Karen, can you confirm that he's looking at the right document?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the one that I was looking at. This is the wrong one.
It's just some data.
Okay, yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
Okay, so do you continue to, are you in favor of receiving the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, passed. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Karen.
Okay, next item, 10.2.2, and it's the 2022-2023 draft enhancing student learning report. Was the dates right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, just kind of. The framework for enhancing student learning is British Columbia's approach to continuous improvement for public education. The framework brings a formalized approach to the planning and reporting expectations for schools with the focus on enhancing student learning and success. It combines accountability with evidence-informed decision-making and system-wide continuous improvement to support equity of outcomes for all students in the provincial K-12 public system. The framework also reflects a public commitment by Indigenous peoples, Indigenous rights holders, education partners, and communities to work together to improve student learning and enhance the intellectual, social, and career development of all learners. A ministerial order requires boards of education to publicly report progress on their strategic goals and related student outcome. School districts are required to submit their enhancing student report to the Ministry of Education by September 30th, 2023, following board approval. The draft 2022-2023 Enhancing Student Learning Report for School District 82 was presented to the Education Committee at its September 20th, 2023 meeting. The Education Committee forwards the report to the board with a recommendation for approval.
Aaron, do you have anything you want to share?
I would love to, yeah. So this is the draft Enhancing Student Learning Report, which it's at the core business of education in Coast Mountain School District. And it's very closely tied to the board's visionary strategic plan. And there are two sections of the report. It's a lengthy report, just to kind of frame up what you're looking at on pages 118 through 154 is, we refer to that as section A, and it's really about learner evidence. A lot of it is historical over the last 3 to 5 years as well. And and the analysis that goes along with that. So really that first section really speaks to where we are as a school district and what impacts we've been having on educational outcomes for kids as a school district. I will say proactively for the question that will come or the statement that will come is it's largely based on a ministry template. And a lot of graphs you're looking at, which are incredibly small because it's a 30, 40 page document, come from the ministry. That's the ministry, provincial data especially. Section B is really closely tied to our school district strategic plan initiatives. And it's found on pages 146 to 154. And so I do consider the second half of the document to be the most important part of the document. It speaks to how we're moving forward as a school district to improve outcomes for children, given our current reality of the evidence that we have. So those are the two parts of the document. It has moved up through the Education Committee as has been shared. And there's been a little bit of feedback through the Education Committee, which has been incorporated into the document to be brought to the board for approval.
Okay, so the recommended action is that the board approve the 2022-2023 Enhancing Student Learning Report for submission to the Ministry of Education by September 30th, 2023.
Seconder for the motion, Wayne, thank you. Any comment or question? All in favor? Passed.
Margaret, I just have a technical piece here. So on page 120, Kispiox First Nation is now Anspaya. So perhaps that should be changed to reflect the current name of the band.
Did you catch that? I didn't catch where it was.
Nope. Yeah, well, I have it. I know what it is. We're here.
The writer knows where it is. Is everybody comfortable with the correction? Yeah. Yeah.
And I would ask that the graphs be reproduced in a larger size.
So Mike, we can accommodate reading these graphs, but they are actually from the ministry. They're not from us.
Can we enlarge them so that they're
Yeah,
better?
we can accommodate what you need if you ask. Yeah, a big sheet.
I have just what you need in Mr. Clifton's office. You can walk away with it tonight. I'll give you a tax to put them up on your walls.
But this is to be released to the public. Right, so
Yes.
so not everybody has as good a quality of printer as the school district has. This is a much better printer than I have. And I couldn't expand it on my computer screen large enough to be able to read it either.
I believe you can expand.
Okay, so we've heard your comment and Carol will have a look and seeing to make sure that there is access for everybody. Okay, next on the agenda. Thank you, Karen. We've got, no, we've got one more.
10-2-3.
10-2-3. Sorry.
Oh, boy. Okay, I've lost it now. I might have given it to Mike.
Page 155.
All right. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, meeting agenda item 10.2.3, 2023-2024 action plan commitments, strategic plan update. As referenced by Superintendent Callahan in his report to the board for this month, intentional efforts related to the implementation of the board's visionary strategic plan are already well underway around the school district. Like last year, a number of key commitments across the three overarching goal areas have been prioritized for the year 2 action plan, including professional learning focused on evidence-based practices in the K-3 literacy, and enhancements to supports for learners identifying with Indigenous ancestry, among others. The attached action plan commitments for the 2023 to 2024 school year identify the prioritized initiatives across the three goal areas in support of the board's strategic plan. Engage, Ignite, Empower. The full strategic plan can be found on the school district website. Yeah, the 2023-2024 action plan commitments in support of the board's strategic plan was presented by Superintendent Callahan to the Education Committee at its September 20th, 2023 meeting. The Education Committee forwards the action plan to the board for information. Can you just- Oh, okay.
Did you have any further comment?
You're good?
You know what, all I'd say is, what I said earlier is the 11 action plan commitments, they are the work of the collective leadership team. So thanks to all of those individuals that are going to be moving this work forward this year in the service of kids.
Karen?
Okay, so the motion that the board receive for information the 2023-2024 action plan commitments in support of the board's 2022 to 2027 strategic plan.
A seconder for the action. Wayne, any comment or question? All in favor of receiving the report? Thank you. Can't see there. Okay, so next is under new business 11.1, and the superintendent of schools is going to present on the 2023-2024 annual board work plan and trustee onboarding schedule.
Great, so just to share on pages 158 and 159 are a couple of documents that are meant to be really fluid documents that support the learning and work of the board during the 2023-24 school year. And one is an annual board work plan. And the annual board work plan is at this moment, it's our best stab at the work that happens over the course of the year, knowing that some things will come up and there might be some changes over the month to month. But it really does speak to the information that's received, approved, adopted, and some of the kind of actionable items of the board. And again, that's on page 158. And on 159 is, again, it's a fluid document. It's the trustee onboarding plan for 23-24. Largely at this point, it does include a few items that have already taken place, but it also includes some identified dates where there are BCSTA professional learning series events happening.
And I have a motion to receive the information, the 2023-2024 annual board work plan and trustee onboarding schedule. So moved, Karen. Second? Second. Thanks, Wayne. All in favor? Passed. Thank you for putting that together. It helps to have a picture for the year of what's happening. Okay. So next is my board chair